A married couple came from the Falkland Islands and in fact have sent me a lovely plaque, and I have to write and let them know of Daniel what date he's on this year. We feel Warrenpoint is really the Switzerland of Northern Ireland, and we want all the tourists to come back to us and to take in and share the beauty that we have in our area.
We're in the middle of this year's Maiden of the Mourne competition. It's your last week, and I wonder, how did you enjoy your reign as our Maiden of the Mournes?
It was an excellent year, really good year, and it's sad to have to give the crown back, but sure, it has to go back, but the memories will stay. And I was delighted to come back up this week and kind of relive it all over again, but this time as an outsider looking in, which is a different angle to look at, but it's a good angle. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Well, you may consider yourself an outsider, but we just feel you're part of us now, and we were delighted that you were able to come for the whole week of the celebrations. You've certainly made this week special for a lot of people, a lot of children, a lot of older people you've spoken to, and I couldn't thank you enough on behalf of Warrenpoint, on behalf of the people of Warrenpoint, for the wonderful ambassador you've been. I just hope we can get someone that'll come up as good as you've been for us. Has there been anything special that you will remember always?
Yes, as a child, Christmas has always been a very special time in my life. I've always loved it, and I'll never forget the day I came up. It was a beautiful day, and my family were with me, and the lighting of the Christmas tree. So when I light my own Christmas tree in my own house this time for the first time, I'll certainly remember that day. It was a very special day, and a lot of people came into the square to see the lights going on. It was just a very special moment. And that, to me, that was a highlight I won't forget.
And also Maggie's Lep, or Maggie's Leap. Now Maggie was a young girl who wanted to marry one of the young lads, but her mother wasn't all that happy with it. So she set her there that if she could leap over the gap with a basket full of eggs and not break any, she would be allowed to marry this fellow. But I think the story ended tragically. She leapt over and killed herself. Didn't make the other side. And since then, it has been known as Maggie's Leap, or Maggie's Lep.
Is that a true story? What's that?
I think the eggs were...
Is that a true story, Mr. Carr?
Yes, that's the truth. Which somebody was asking about earlier on. Now there are two drum bays. There are Dundrum Bay Inner, which is this little bay, which is, that's the tide we see filling it. We're almost at full tide. And Dundrum Bay Outer.
What's that walk?
Go on!
You'll be glad to hear that it's real. Never stop reading until the end.
To my interview. I'm here now at the Millbrook Hotel, and we have pictures here of Miss New York, Miss New Jersey, and Pittsburgh. They're all looking gorgeous. I have to say, interview here now with Mr. Hugh Carr. He's a member of the council, and he's a good man to get out with, if you know what I mean. And he's a lovely bottle of German wine here, and we're going to have some in a minute. So, how long have you been living up here?
Well, I have been living in Warrenpoint since birth.
God.
How long that was?
Oh, yeah. You were saying about the train a while ago, and it stopped in 1968, was it?
That's right.
Yeah, that you weren't even born then.
Oh, well, I was just...
He wasn't around then. Oh, were you?
It was a good night last night.
Very brilliant night last night. Great.
It's a very long
schedule.
program.
It's very. We haven't had a chance to ourselves. No. Fortunately.
Through the Mournes this morning,
Yes.
your home country.
Yes. So parts I never knew existed.
I know every back alley. Instead of here.
Yes.
Right. Be careful what you say.
Take that away.
All right. Okay, just stay where you are. 9.
I had this, I don't know what to do with it. I suppose all of us, we would want to issue from this end anyway a very, very sincere welcome to South Down, or North Down. And I had the privilege, you may not have noticed it, of seeing you all last night. So I heard your CVs and I heard your performances. But I'm not telling anybody here what happened. A sincere welcome to you all. I hope you've had a very happy and enjoyable week, because that's really what it's all about. Competition is only a means of getting you to enjoy yourself. And I don't know what more I have to say, except you're very welcome. I hope you have a most enjoyable rest of the week, and your schedules are far too heavy. I thought only the Yanks, when the Yanks are here, I thought only the Yanks did that sort of thing, that worked you so hard, but the schedules I read were quite horrific. But I think they're all enjoyable in themselves, and I know you've had a good time. I hope Mr. Carr looked after you this morning in the middle of the Mournes. Be careful, be careful.
Okay. Well, say thank you very much to Nunbrook Lodge for inviting me along. But I personally have been watching the growth of the Warren Point Festival over the past couple of years, and I'm delighted to see it each year does increase and improve. Though this year, I must say, it will be very hard to improve, and it's a beautiful selection of maidens. And I have had a splendid afternoon talking to most of them. I'll wrap up there by saying thanks very much for inviting me to lunch in Nunbrook Lodge, and I wish you well for the rest of your trip, and come back again in whatever capacity. And best of luck to the winner if I don't get a chance to congratulate. But echo what
Okay, first one. Guess who this is? Had to practice my brogues here. Okay, we're gonna go now for a couple of wee pictures, okay? Everybody okay? I'm sorry. Okay, next one. Okay. Okay, give me a sec. Sorry. Okay, give me a person now. Let's say even today, I want to be a part of it. New York, New York, be our little town blue.
Here we are in Annalong Marine Park. Beautiful scenery, and the girls are just making their way now down to the marina, where there should be a tour guide meeting us and showing us around. Is that okay?
like 1960. So it was quite late for a corn mill in the province. The council acquired it in 1982 and it reopened after restoration in 1985. These are the two grains that were milled here at the corn mill when it was in working order. One of the hoppers milled wheat, which was used mainly for human consumption, and the other hoppers milled oats, which was used mainly for animal consumption. Now each grain had to be milled 3 times. The wheat was milled into wholemeal, then bran, then flour. The oats milled into groats, then pinhead oatmeal, then fine oatmeal. So the flour was made for things like, you know, yourselves, bread and things like that for human consumption. And the fine oatmeal was popular for things like porridge and oat cakes, things like that. These are some of the other cereals here. Wheat, oats, barley, rye, maize and rice. The reason that they had to be ground down was because our digestive system can't handle them with a cider husk, so you'll be able to see yourself where it loses a cider husk next door in the milling room. This here, this is called a saddle quern, and this is how milling first started. This is how they used to do it. You may be seeing it on the TV sometimes in third world countries where they're still using, because they still haven't got modern facilities, but basically it was just, it's called a saddle quern because of the shape of the stone, and it was milled. It was just ground. It's usually the women who done this, because the men were out doing manly things like hunting, things like that. So it's usually the women that done that. Very, very long and very, very laborious. This then progressed to this over here. And this is called a rotary quern. I need 2 hands to do this. Now this is basically, when I show you the grinding stone next door, this is basically what it's based on. The bottom one staying stationary and the top one rotating. This is it manually, and they just put the weight in the middle. You can see it coming out the bottom. Coming out the grooves, that enabled it to come out. This then progressed from being done manually. Again, it was usually the women who done this. Lucky job. So owned it for the majority of the time. The last gentleman owned it in Annalong was Tommy Hammond. This is a picture of Annalong Harbour in the 1920s, and this is a picture of it in the 1930s. And if you look closely, you can see this is the corn mill here and here. There's 2 black tanks here that weren't there beforehand. And what happened was, if any of you have ever been up at the Silent Valley, I don't know if you have or not, but when Belfast Water Authority built that, they took a lot of the water power away, and to substitute that power, they had to build an engine house, and these were 2 water cooling tanks. You can still see them at the side of the building. Show you.
Can you hear it?
Okay, Garrett, nice puppy. Here we go.